Okay, we are now recording and welcome. It is a bleak and dreary day out there and Puppy has wet feet and we're still here. We're still doing the course, right, Puppy? She's not in a good mood. Hello, she is. But anyway, today, moving on with the course, what we will do this week. Like I said, I promised for those of you who, hello, she wants to say hello again. For those of you who couldn't make the 11 o'clock meeting of the class I did last week, I did it by request at 1 o'clock. It's a lot fewer at this one, so I might switch it back to Wednesday. I mean, to 11 a.m. We'll see. I want to reach out to you. Again, this is an asynchronous class, so you don't have to come at all. What is your problem? You don't have to come at all to any of it. It's all recorded. It's just, I want to give you the opportunity to, oh, you're so good. I want to give you the opportunity to interact, to ask questions. It's again, not required. What we will do this week, okay, you can go chase squirrels or something. What we will do this week, we'll continue with the first part of the book, basic media stuff, Media 101, that's the whole point of the course. We will have the first extra credit thing this week. And let's one credit, a one question quiz, 5 points. And next week, the first test. So we'll have a test next week, a one question extra credit thing this week, and we'll move forward. I did grade all the essays. Most of you put in some really good effort. You're going above and beyond. I really appreciate that. The grades were really good. There were more A's than anything. Tests are a little harder. So that's up and coming. So we'll just continue talking about media and society stuff. When last time we were here, we were talking about just some basics. What is the media? And we had the video. Some basic characteristics, again, straight from the textbook. Someone asked if they have to buy the textbook. The answer is actually no. We go over a lot of the stuff from the textbook, but you have it in front of you. So it's just another thing to reinforce what the things we cover in class. Anyway, characteristics of media. It's ubiquitous. It's all around us. It's not just that we carry it with us. We have all sorts of forms of media, billboards, television screens, quite frankly, t-shirts and swag. It's all media. And they work together all the time. Again, symbiosis. Things work together. Again, like the phone. I can get a movie on the phone. I can listen to the radio. That is symbiosis and concurrence. You're using several media things at once, and they all work together. Media dependency. We depend on how often are you on a screen a day? A lot. Okay. What is media literacy and understanding the media? So much of it is, and we'll talk a lot about that, is understanding what we're seeing and the process of how it got there. Because this is one of the things I see is, okay, you see something on the news, or you see a bad television show, season 47 of Grey's Anatomy, you know, that, okay, here it is. Why do they have these bad soap operas? There are lots of reasons. And if you understood why, okay, media bias. Yep, it is, because certain people talk to the media, certain people don't. You run with the facts you got. So if you understand the process, you will better understand what you're seeing. Understanding the language. I come from the North, and the language is different. Someone, oh, bless his heart, sounds nice where I come from, but bless his heart means that poor loser in the South. So you have different linguistic things, visual pictures, different people see things differently. And the message is different than, just because you see something on the news, it's going to be different on MSNBC than it is Fox, even if the facts are the same. Things to be aware of in looking at the media. Bias. Yep. Absolutely. Subjective decisions all the time. Certain people want to talk to you, certain people don't. You still have 22 minutes to fill in a half-hour broadcast. You still have 20 pages in the newspaper. So you go with what you got, and you follow and you organize it the way you think you are. So yes, that can make it inaccurate, because you might not be getting all the sides of the story. Is that fair? Probably not. But who decides what's fair? You do. You get to watch it. You don't like it, you can change the channel. We can talk about ethics, which we will. Traditions. News is the way it is because that's the way we were taught. If it bleeds, it leads. You sum it up in 30 words or less. But then there's also media myths. My favorite one is that there is one thing called the media. It's not like there's a bunch of liberals meeting in New York or LA deciding what you're gonna see on the air. Doesn't work like that. It's not, it's much more complicated. Functions of the media. I know this is a little boring. It's to inform, primarily, persuade. It's certainly in advertising and PR to vote a certain way, to buy a certain product. Enlighten, unification, which is big these days in our politics, supposedly, that help us, we all see the same culture, to build a social consensus of what's right or wrong. And in the past few years, that hasn't been happening. When I was a kid, it did. We watched the same programs. We might disagree between liberals and conservatives, but we had the same facts. Not anymore. We don't have as much of a consensus of what's right or wrong. Tattoos and piercing. That used to be kind of gross when I was a kid, but now, so there are certain sort of habits and social things that we see on the media that we like. Okay, we will get to a lot of these issues, but I want to switch over to second one here because I have some video links in this one. Chapter 3 from the STAM book. Media economics. See? I knew that was the time to switch over. We talked about that. Issues that come up according to your book. Fragmentation. That means we're all watching different things. There's so much streaming going on, especially as we're sitting home. A lot of people are watching movies. A lot of people are watching reality TV. A lot of people are watching true crime. We're not watching the same things. So you have what they call demassification. It's less of a mass audience. We're all watching different things. But we are, and technology is always changing. I'll wave around the phone all the time because, yeah. That is, hello, from current slide. Right, we have different technologies and they're always changing. Different websites, different rooms, it's all different apps changing all the time. See, change, it's always changing. Streaming services, privatization. And the issues are, how do we catch up to it? The big one now is that the former president was kicked off of social media. Now, that was the social media people, not the government doing it. But, still, where do we draw the line? Where do we stop people from saying things that perhaps may make people riot at the federal Capitol? And so, yeah, we have to balance free speech versus the damage that it can cause. Free speech means there is no law saying that anything is truthful. There is no law that's saying anything is right or wrong. There's nothing that says it has to be accurate. So then that can cause damage. What do we do? Okay. How does it work? Usually they bring it down to some models. You can bring it down to channel. SMCR standard, source, media, channel, receiver. This is how you look at, if you're looking at why something is the way it is, you start with the source. Is there something wrong with the people sending you the message? Is there something wrong with the message itself? Is it misspelled? Is your sound good? Is it in the channel? Is it in your internet connection? Or is it in your own ear? You break it down, the media, into those things, you have a way to look at the media. What's missing is feedback, individuals, stuff like that. So none of these things are perfect, but that's an example. Media effects. This is the big one I wanted to get to. Hello.
Marshall McLuhan was a visionary, far ahead of his time. The Canadian was a philosopher and...
Okay. Medium is the message. This will come up on the test.
The Medium is the Message by Marshall McLuhan. Marshall McLuhan was a visionary, far ahead of his time. The Canadian was a philosopher and professor, but could perhaps be best described as a communications theorist. The book is actually called The Medium is the Massage, due to a mistake from the typesetters. But when McLuhan saw the error, he loved it and kept it as it was. Perhaps this was because McLuhan thought media massaged the brain to behave in particular ways. So, the medium is the message. What does it mean? Quite simply, it means that the way that we send and receive information is more important than the information itself. Where we were once consumers, consuming information by watching television or listening to the radio, in the 21st century, we have now also become producers, creating our own information as well. For example, after watching the latest episode of a television series, We can now instantly connect with anyone, anywhere in the world who also watched the programme and communicate with them. The mediums have changed the way we behave. Studies have shown that our memory spans have reduced due to digital technology. News stories have been replaced with 140-character tweets. Conversations have been replaced with emojis. Anecdotally, I've heard of young children trying to turn the noise of their parents arguing down with a remote control. When reading a book, I've had to stop myself moving my hand to press on a word to get the dictionary definition after becoming familiar with the Kindle's user interface. For McLuhan, watching television changed the way we looked at the world. He said, "It is impossible to understand social and cultural changes without a knowledge of the workings of media."
Absolutely.
This has developed in the modern world, with social media playing an important part in various civil and cultural events.
Absolutely.
The Egyptian Revolution of 2011 was a successful uprising in part due to the extensive use of Facebook and other social media. Online activism helped to organise and publicise demonstrations and acts of non-violent civil disobedience, which resulted in the eventual overthrow of the government. McLuhan prophesied that electrical information devices for universal, tyrannical, womb-to-tomb surveillance are causing a very serious dilemma between our claim to privacy and the community's need to know. Edward Snowden's whistleblowing revelations in 2013 exposed the 24/7 global surveillance intelligence agencies and governments undertake on their citizens. The public opinion of Snowden ranges from hero to traitor and underlines the dilemma that affects our society. In McLuhan's world, he refers to one big gossip column that is unforgiving, unforgetful, and from which there is no redemption.
Yep.
We can see present-day examples of this, where tweets and comments posted online have resulted in job dismissals, arrests, and online abuse. The deleting of these tweets or comments has minimal effect. Anything posted on the internet potentially could last forever. Real total war has become information war. It is being fought by subtle electric informational media under cold conditions and constantly. This quote from McLuhan in his book has been proven true multiple times in the past, most recently with the 2016 United States presidential election. The battle for the White House was multifaceted and complex, but information and propaganda was key, with both sides working hard to broadcast their views. The two protagonists, Trump and Clinton, tried to influence the public, with information from WikiLeaks and alleged actions from Russia taking centre stage. Marshall McLuhan was seen as an odd character by many. He claimed to only read the right-hand page of serious books, as he found books have huge redundancy. By reading only the right-hand pages, he stays wide awake, filling in the other page with his own thoughts. The most incredible aspect of McLuhan's claims was that they were made nearly 40 years ago, in 1967, before social media, the World Wide Web, or the internet even existed. His prediction of an international, interconnected, interactive global village is now an actuality.
So when we talk about the medium being the message, what that basically means is it's not so much, you could get liberal and conservative and Christian and Muslim stuff. The thing is, we're using the medium. We are on the phone. That in itself affects us. That's the point. It's not so much of what we're getting, the fact that we're plugged in what they call a pseudo environment. It's not real. We're talking, certainly, here we are on a Zoom call. I'm not in a classroom. And that in itself makes life different. So how do the media affect us? All sorts of ways. We're isolated, we're separated. And how do we know how it affects us? Through research, experiments, surveys. Most of what we think is conjecture. How do we know? Is through scientific methods. Okay. How does the media work? we'll continue next time on the economics. I think this is enough to digest right now. Is the medium is the message, and it's all around us. And we'll talk a little bit more about the economics of it next time. We will have a short 1-question quiz at the end of the week. And that will be that. We'll talk about economics next time and why stuff is the way it is. Any questions? Okay, I will.
Are you doing another like recording Wednesday, or is it just kind
I'll do it Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and I'll start with the media economics stuff then.
of okay? And it's at 1, or are you moving it to 11?
Sure, I promised some people that I'd continue doing it at this time, so I think I'll probably keep with it and switch it back to 11 next week. Just thinking out loud. If I change my mind, I'll let you know. All right, we will see you then.